Everyone. We are
We're
indeed
back.
back. Okay. Wait for my
Good evening, y'all. We're back and we're better.
There we go. Okay.
What's up, my good brother? Can you hear me?
Hello. Hello. I indeed can hear you.
What's up, my good brother?
Chilling. Blessed.
Oh my goodness, you're insane.
Yeah, I'm doing good though.
Good.
It's been a good week. What about you?
I'm good. This week has been much better, so I'm loving it. I'm living life. You know.
Yeah. Another installment today.
Yep. Hey y'all. Alrighty. Welcome to another episode of
Mhm.
Cultivating Conversations with DP Squared. Okay. The number one podcast in all of DC, all of the DMV.
Yes, indeed.
I am Deja Parker, along with my lovely co-hosts.
It's DeAndre Parker in the building.
And of course, we're happy that y'all are joining us. Happy that you're tuned in. Hoping
Facts.
everyone's having a great week. And thank you to those who watch us live, and thank you to the ones who are going to watch later.
Yes.
But we got a good episode today. We
No
got a
cap,
great
bro.
episode today. Okay. But you know how we do. First, we like to start off with
Yes.
a quote of the day from the infamous
The magical book.
2,500 years of wisdom.
Yes.
Okay. This to get us, set the right intentions.
Yeah,
All
I like
right. Right. Okay. This one says, the world owes you nothing.
that.
It was here first.
Mm.
So
That's cap. The world owe me everything. That's cap.
what
That's cap.
are your thoughts about that?
I don't know. It don't matter that it was here first. I don't think that nobody technically owes you nothing, but I don't know about that quote. What about you?
I mean, I personally, I think it's one of the things where it's just like, I think people get very selfish and very feel entitled to stuff. So I just think it's one of those things where it's, don't
Yeah,
nobody owe you nothing.
yeah. I do. I do think people need to realize how important though. I was talking about this one day. How important though they are in general, because out of everything living being, like, you were selected to be here in some type of capacity. So I think, as much as the world may not owe you anything, you should appreciate the world in some form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all, put in the chat. Tell us, hey, we want to see,
Facts. Facts. Talk to us.
Hey, y'all, hey, Anthony, hey, Mike, hey, y'all. Alrighty. Now, the topic for today, we wanted to, so I don't know if, okay. I think when we first started the podcast, we was really intentional about saying, how can we educate people? How can we let people know about stuff that they might not know that's happening? Yeah. But saying it in a way that people can relate to it, be receptive, stuff like that. So that's
especially
kind of
us being young too.
Yeah, especially as being like younger and stuff, and just not knowing, with all the noise in the world, not knowing who's saying what's true, what's not true. So today's episode was just like, are you paying attention? Do you know what's happening around you? What are the things that are affecting you? But specifically, like, what are some things that are affecting people, mainly people of color, and these new laws and stuff that have been being affected, and not just people of color, but just minorities in general.
Yeah.
Whether that's for different reasons, it's not just always race that makes you a minority, but so we just had a couple things we wanted to address, see if y'all knew it was happening, y'all thoughts on it, and go from there.
Yeah, and I think starting off to how you said minority, like, it's not just about race. I think that's important today. When you listen to what we're saying, we're not just talking about race.
Yeah,
we're just talking about the color of people's skin. It goes deeper as well, beyond just race. So
yeah,
before we start, I just want to say that.
For sure. All right, this is the first one. This one caught me by surprise because it's like I heard about it, but I really wasn't paying attention to it happening, really. So the first one is, they have been banning certain books in certain cities, certain libraries and stuff like that. And so when I was reading on it, for example, it was saying how Oklahoma, there were certain people who wanted to press charges against librarians because they had certain books that were related to like racial identity or sexual identity. Yeah. And I'm like, I feel like the librarians were the sweetest people in the world. Like, who come after the librarians? Right. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But
I
Yeah.
initially hearing the banning of books, I thought that was completely insane. Like how do you ban like someone's work in literature that
Mm-hmm.
it's just about something that's about the world. It's not directed particularly to somebody's child, like they're trying to
Yeah.
change their mind. It's just something that they made one. But one thing I want to bring up is learn like having the books in school, right? The child is most likely going to learn whatever they're reading somewhere
Yeah.
in some time in their life. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't they want it in a place that can cultivate their mind or bring up ideas that are positive instead of learning it in a negative environment?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't understand with the whole banning of books is because of the course of their life, they're going to learn whatever is going on.
Yeah.
So I want to like asking you is like people that express that in the content of books can be disrespectful, explicit, sexual, or like racially, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
People that argue that, I mean, what do you or unsuitable for like child, what do you say to that?
I think that, so I can't remember who said this. It might have been, I forget who the quote is by, but when they said something like basically, okay, I'm gonna butcher the whole quote, so I shouldn't even
Yeah,
quote it. But they were basically saying that like if you want to hide knowledge or you don't want someone to know something, you put it in a book. And it's like the reason why I'm saying that is because I think there's just certain material that they just don't want us to know about.
yeah,
And like, even if you think of things back in the day, there was a book called, I think it was like Fahrenheit 51 or
yeah. I
Fahrenheit
heard about that.
451. Yeah. And
Yeah,
it was like they literally burned books because they didn't want people to read and learn about stuff and then want to rebel against them.
uh-huh.
So I just think that I love that books have different content that people can learn from what's in them. And like you said, sometimes it gives historical context to what happened that we
Mhm.
didn't experience ourselves. But I don't have a child, so I'm curious. Do like people think that if you read a certain book, it will influence the way you
Think,
think about something? I think
yeah,
it's just having more knowledge about it. I don't necessarily think it's like going to change someone's views per se,
yeah,
but
yeah,
because I wanted to like I have one of the books. So one of the books they have banned is called All Boys Aren't Blue,
yeah,
and it was basically about a black man who discovered his sexuality through his childhood, and
yeah,
he had different traumas around that. But I have that book.
mhm.
And so when I saw it's getting banned in 11 states, I'm like, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
I wanted to bring a question as well, like
Yeah.
what determines a book? I don't know, you can't answer it, but what determines a book needing to be banned or seen to be banned? Like in my eyes, I
Yeah.
know people have this conversations about, LGBTQ
Mm-hmm.
plus or racially things or things about some everybody's not quote unquote acceptable about
Mm-hmm.
accepted for or whatever. It's
Mm-hmm.
like as much as you push in the agenda that you want, do you not think that causes the same type of effect on the child as the other thing that they portray does? Like they say push of LGBTQ
Mm-hmm.
or push of whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it has the same effect as the other side of the agenda pushing, let's say, I don't know, complete straightness or complete religious or societal standards? Like, do you think it has the same negative effect? You know how they're seeing it?
Like how the person no, I feel like oh wait, I'm just gonna say it's no different from when they see on social media and what they want on the news and what they watch on the news and reality
Yeah,
shows.
that's
Yeah.
true.
I feel like it's just trying to erase people's identity, honestly. But
Mhm.
to answer your question, like I think they try to justify. You're saying basically how are they justifying it, or what are
Well,
you asking?
I'm asking like I'm saying as much people say that pushing LGBTQ on children, right,
Mm-hmm.
is negative
Mm-hmm.
or different religious beliefs or whatever the case may be. I'm
Yeah.
saying on the other side of it, what they believe and
Yeah.
them pushing that on their children, does that pose the same negative effects on the child? That's
Oh.
what I asked.
Um.
What do you think?
Um. I don't know. I feel like I think it's okay for a parent or whoever to want to properly educate or try to like influence their child to do a certain thing,
Mhm.
based on their beliefs. Not saying I know there's certain beliefs and stuff that's harmful to other people, but I'm saying I don't think that like we should take that control away from a parent or whoever the person is. But like
Mhm.
forcing someone to think or be a certain way is negative to me,
Yeah.
regardless of what it is.
Uh,
So whether it's like religion, gender, sexuality, whatever, like that's what I think. I just think that people have it all depends on your intention. Like, are you telling them to do this because what?
Yeah.
you are against the opposite thing, or you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yes. I understand.
and honestly, I just feel that people are gonna stray away from what you're telling them anyway if you're saying it a certain way. So
Yeah.
like
Um,
that's just the basis of it.
and it was reported that culturally inclusive material actually uplifts students seeing themselves in books and work
Yeah.
in class of, exclusivity. That's a word, right?
Yeah. Inclusivity,
Yeah,
exclusivity, yeah.
yeah. In their actual work actually
Mm-hmm.
boosts morale for students. So,
Yeah.
especially knowing that that can limit diverse thinking within students in a group, not
Mm-hmm.
seeing themselves or majority only seeing them, it's
Yeah.
odd that you would want to advance something that clearly brings out a positive side to students. It's just kind of odd, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
like banning books it does nothing for the world in a way that in a manner that it just deflects the problems that they don't want people to see.
Yeah.
Instead of
Doesn't
trying
get rid of
to
them.
right, it
Yeah.
doesn't get rid of them, it just deflects them. Instead of trying
Mm-hmm.
to involve everyone or include everyone to understand what everyone is or what people are doing and create more compassion throughout students or people or
Mm-hmm.
adults, whatever, it just makes people more separated in the long run. It doesn't
Yeah.
really pose any positive benefits. I
Yeah.
don't think so.
So yeah, I'm just gonna say no, reading books will not and cannot influence them. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I just yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. I just feel like it's regressive
For
to
sure. It is.
do
It
something
is.
like
I would love to know like someone's thoughts on why they justify banning certain
that.
books,
Yeah, I
but
think there
that's
would be
just me.
listed to a court hearing or something.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next thing. Okay. Now, I want to know if you knew this was happening or not, DeAndre.
Uh,
It's they have been taking away DEI roles and curriculums. And so DEI is just diversity, equity, and inclusion. So during around the George Floyd murder and stuff, there was a uptick in the amount of roles at the different companies. They wanted to hire so many people to like, how can we have a more inclusive environment? How can we
yeah,
make people feel more safe and seen at work and stuff because of all the stuff that was happening?
yeah,
But now there's been a major decline in those roles. They've been getting rid of the roles. They've been getting rid of like certain programs at different places, like related to diversity and equity and inclusion. So
yeah.
I thought that was crazy
Yeah,
too.
so I'm gonna answer your first question. The first DEI, I saw that actually around, but
Okay.
I didn't know what it stood for
Uh huh.
until we started talking about this. But I knew what the concept was about it because of the talk around it, but I didn't
Mhm.
know what it stood for. But
Mhm.
as you were saying, the DEI programs that were involved back then, I feel like a lot of those companies do things for publicity and wasn't how
Yes.
it was important to them in that moment,
Mhm.
especially with a lot of probably profit and revenue going around during BLM and George Floyd. They're
Mhm.
not seen as an actual movement for their company, but more so how can we profit off this moment? In my opinion,
Right. Right.
that's how I see it sometimes. Also, it's like you include DEI in your corporation,
Mhm.
but your culture corporation does not change. Do you know what I'm trying to
Exactly.
say?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
They
like
were just doing it just to do it.
right, like it's in your company, inclusive learning or
Mhm.
racial things are included, like they hire more people, whatever, but your
Yeah.
company is still ridiculed with people that don't agree with whatever you're doing. So it's like
Right.
it's not producing any actual benefits.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I did hear about them taking programs away. I mean, what does that pose to you as like a worker? Like someone who's in the field currently.
Well, it definitely makes me not want to apply to any roles like that because I want to apply to a role that is going to be there for a while. Like I would hate to be in a role and then they get rid of it because they feel
Yeah,
like it's not useful anymore. But
yeah,
two is like I've been trying. That's the main thing that I look for in companies now too. Though is how are you trying to make the environment inclusive? Like what things do you actually have put in place because it is important. And it doesn't
yeah,
have to be like, oh, we just hired this new person to
yeah,
do workshops with us. It's just no, like literally, what are y'all doing just to make people
yeah,
feel safe? Like,
yeah. So
so yeah.
go ahead, my bad, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, so yeah, I mean, for me, especially like with working, I don't like I know a few people who work in, like a diversity, equity, and inclusion role. Like that's literally their job. They'll say like director of blah blah blah.
Yeah,
Um, and I feel I'm scared for them because it's just like you might not have that job no more.
yeah. So for you, it's less about the hiring standpoint, but how it feels in the actual atmosphere of your job.
Yeah, how like what are actual things that y'all are doing? Because just hiring more diverse people means literally nothing if the people
Yeah,
don't feel safe there. And even like I have some friends who have been a part of certain scholarships that were specifically for Black students or
yeah,
people of color. So seeing that schools like Duke are taking away their scholarships
right,
for Black students is
yeah.
like, I don't know.
So,
But that's
so
a state law. Like they don't have
yeah.
to have it anymore. So
So what do you think about like diversity in the standpoint of less race, but background or how someone grew up or ideas or
hmm
around centered around that? Do you think that should also be in the same category as DEI, like hiring or inclusiveness in work? Like you think that should be accounted for as well?
yeah, because I mean, they've have data to show that companies thrive better when you have different people like people who think differently, who grew up differently. It's
Yeah,
not just about race. It's just like it could
right,
be
right.
religion, sexuality. It could be like someone who has a disability. It's so
Yeah,
many different ways to feel inclusive.
yeah, yeah,
But you can tell when a place is not like that. You can
yeah.
tell when
Okay, yeah,
everybody look the same, everybody think the same, everybody act the
you're right.
same. It's very clear. Like I said, it's
Yeah,
really important informing all walks of life about different cultures. Yeah, because I
right.
mean, I wouldn't have known about half the stuff if I wasn't around a person who was different from me.
Yeah.
You can't
Um,
you got to experience it. You can't just read about it or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Experience can be the best teacher.
yeah.
But I want to bring up this next point.
Mhm,
Same topic, but
mhm,
I feel like a lot of people who are commenting negative things about DEI,
mhm.
they're living in their own bubble where they don't realize the outside of what they're living in, and the people that go through different things aspects of their own life struggle to receive these jobs or receive these programs because of ways that they were set up to be negatively affected, you know,
Mhm.
through, school, through workforce, growing up, money
Yeah.
wise, socially, whatever. So when
Mhm,
they're commenting on these things, they have no experience going through
mhm.
these things, which makes them like negligent to the topic. And people are kind of downplaying the DEI stuff and saying, it can be, reverse discriminatory,
Yeah,
primarily
which
towards
is crazy.
white people and white males and sometimes Asian males, and saying
Mhm.
how it's going to affect them negatively. And it's like you just kind of don't understand that the people who are trying to get there aren't trying to take away what you have, trying to just even be able to reach there,
Yeah.
because how long it takes to even get there. But okay, let me bring up this point. I want to ask you.
Uh-huh.
So from Forbes, actually on March 5th, 2024, they wrote an article, and one of the quotes said, despite what story suggests, more
Mhm.
than half of the U.S. executives say their organizations have expanded diversity, equity, and inclusion strategies over the past year, and
Mhm.
positive DEI does not get attention. So, who do you believe? Do you believe that it's actually being spread, or it's just negative, reports just everywhere because that's what's hot?
Um, I think it can be. I think it's both. I think it's
Mm,
both for sure. I think that if a company, if they're showing consistency, then I believe it. But if it's just one of them things like if you a Starbucks and you was talking about this stuff and then now they don't even talk about it at all, like you wasn't really serious about that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But um, I don't know. I think it can be both because there's
uh,
definitely a lot of companies who are really trying
yeah,
and putting their money where their mouth is, and then there's of course just others that did it for like a couple little social media stuff, kikis, and then they not even
then it's
doing that
over.
no more. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that too. I feel like I know and feel like there are places that actually try to involve, like you say, workshops or just,
Yeah.
things that will unite the workforce in their company. But then there's people that just do it just to do it, but their actual company culture never changes. And
Yeah.
I guess the last thing I want to bring up here,
Mm-hmm.
back to the reverse discrimination. What do you say to people that say that or believe that it can be counterproductive when you're focusing on one group more than the other and not quote unquote bringing equality between all? What do you say?
I'd like to know what other people think too. But I think okay, people gotta be real that no place or most places aren't gonna just do something because they want to. Sometimes you gotta force people to do it. So that's why you had to have stuff like affirmative action, because companies weren't just going to, or like schools weren't just going to accept more diverse students. They had to be told, because it's like, it's the same thing with other laws when it relates to equality. Like, you got to tell people, because they're not going to just wake up and be like, oh, I feel like being nice today. Let me, do what's right. So there's literally no way that if we're attempting to try to be equitable, that affects the majority in any way to me. It's just impossible. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, people have those same views about America, about people saying that foreigners are taking Americans' jobs. It's kind of that same energy. And I know some people
Yeah.
do think that,
Yeah.
but I think it's the same thing where it's just like, you can't, I don't like when people, the majority tries to justify the reasoning, like try to flip it to be like, oh, it's unfair for them too. Like, that just doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
In most cases, I see it kind of like a small group is probably affected, but
Yeah.
then once the bigger group gets word, it becomes an outrage based on
Yeah.
a minimal group being affected from something, and then
Yeah.
it's being blown up to believe that everybody is being affected from something that only is a small group
Mm-hmm.
is.
Because even they even do that too when they hire certain people. They'll be like, they I don't know. I just think that they already find so many loopholes as it is.
Yeah.
They can relax when it comes to just giving people more opportunities. It's
Yeah.
not that serious. Like, it's just not that serious. I mean,
Mhm,
it is serious, but I'm just saying they just want to whine all the time about
mhm,
everything.
mhm.
But okay, last one. And this one I kind of saw. I still don't know a whole bunch about, but let me know if y'all know about this. If y'all heard about this. All right. So the University of Southern California, they
Mhm.
have a student who is going to be valedictorian, which is basically the person who has the highest grades and stuff, and they can do a
GPA,
speech
yeah.
at, yeah, and they can do a speech at graduation. So she's a Muslim student, and she's also of South Asian descent. Yeah, but
Mhm.
they cancel her
Speech.
graduation speech, yeah, because they saw how on social media she has like pro-Palestinian views. The whole everything that's going on like with Israel and Palestine and stuff. I guess she
Right.
had certain views. Not saying it was good or bad, but just being like, because certain people were saying they didn't like her views, they said she couldn't do her speech anymore. And that's the
Yeah.
first time in like ever USC has denied a valedictorian from
Right.
having their speech. So what do you
Uh,
think about that?
right. So, like, first question: what does that
Mm-hmm.
say about free speech in you as your university, based on
Right, your
like
place
this?
of higher learning. I
Yeah, your
don't.
place of higher learning, especially something that is not like something that is not this like discriminate.
It's not like, it's not like prejudice. It's not.
Right.
Well, the university tried to justify it being like
Mhm.
it's going to bring harm to the school because
Right.
people have such polarizing view, like such,
Right. That's true.
it could ignite violence because people don't disagree with it. You see what I'm
That's
trying to
true.
say? So
Right.
that was the
Yeah.
way they justified it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying from a standpoint of like it is not something that is deeming everyone besides them like as bad. You know, I'm trying to
Yeah.
get it
Yeah.
like I don't want to say this, but like a white supremacist or like it's not a Nazi type vibe. So
Yeah. I
it's
know what
like
you mean.
to
I know what you
deem it
mean.
to be canceled, where it's so
Mm-hmm.
somewhere where it's just supporting the side. And
Mm-hmm.
now I ain't a political for me. This is an opinionated
This is
podcast, but
opinion based podcast.
generally we know how the US feels about what's going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see from the university standpoint, I'm saying in a net, like I'm not seeing I'm relating to them, like see like they're doing
You
this
can get
because
it. Yeah.
the US you feel me, like
Yeah.
they don't want to be seen as an outlier by letting her speak
It's
in
politicking for
right,
sure.
right. So if they're trying to cut out any leeway to
Mm-hmm.
be seen in a negative light, which is not
Mm-hmm.
good though, because they deserve the backlash they're getting. And honestly, they're probably getting more publicity now that they canceled it because it's been on like every news outlet.
Yeah, it has.
So
It
it's
has.
like it's crazy.
And students are protesting and stuff. So,
Exactly.
but what do you think though? If you were the
Mhm.
university, what would you do? Because again, if you're a
Right.
university, you're trying to please so many people.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
Okay.
what would you do?
If
Would you let her speech, or would you? Because again, they've
uh-huh.
never done this, and that school has been
Yeah.
around for
Yeah.
years, like
Yeah.
years. I'm sure. I don't
Uh-huh.
know. I don't know if they could have like because you also can't tell her to not say certain stuff because you
Exactly.
could say okay and then she could still get up there and say something. You know what I
Whatever she
mean? Like
wants.
people
Right.
do that all the time.
Exactly. What I
But
do if I was at university, what would I do? I'm gonna stand on
mhm.
10 toes. So if I canceled her, she's canceled. I'm not.
And
I'm not.
honestly, people are gonna forget about that in like a couple weeks. That's the
Yeah,
sad part about it. She
that's true
will
though.
be forever affected, but the school
Yeah.
will go on.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
they're probably thinking about money and whatever is
Hmm.
most beneficial for them at the time being, and probably not letting her speak is probably the most profitable thing for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So me, I am the university in this moment. I'm not going to let her speak. But from a regular person standpoint, it's wrong to someone to earn something, be a valedictorian,
Yeah.
knowing that they are supposed to speak, never knowing before them being canceled, and then you decide because a few posts determine that she cannot talk at her graduation, which is crazy.
Yeah. That's crazy. This
Yeah.
taking away people's taking away. They're slowly taking away things from us. That is, we wanted to make sure people knew about certain things that were
Facts,
happening
facts.
because, like,
It's important.
it happens day after day after day of things that we just don't know is directly affecting us. But
Yeah. You don't
yeah.
want to be negligent to things that directly affect you, especially if
Mm-hmm.
you're about to start working or already working or about to go to school, whatever the case may be. So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think our hashtag go cultivate. First of all, tell the people what hashtag go cultivate is.
That's Tech Go Cultivate. We want to leave y'all with something, man. Every time we come on this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
something to, do after this is over, try to learn or try to influence the other people around you, cultivate everyone is our thing. So we
Mm-hmm.
decide to cultivate everyone. So we want to cultivate the young minds, the old minds, the all minds. So we're gonna leave y'all with something here. Hashtag go cultivate, man. Post it on y'all stories or something.
Yeah, I definitely, the one for today was really, thank you, DeAndre. The one for today, I really just wanted it to be like, not in a cliche way, but do
Mhm.
a like Google a little bit to see if there's little things that have been going on in your city or state that could
Mhm.
potentially affect you individually.
Yeah,
Cause like these are things that I literally was not paying attention to. But
true.
imagine going somewhere and wanting to read about something and not being able to do that. Like we hear that in
Yeah,
other countries, but if that becomes our reality, that's crazy. So you just kind of want to
exactly.
know what are some stuff that's going on, or what
Excuse
are
me.
some things they're trying to pass on the slide that they're trying to make sure people don't know about, especially in
Especially
our like southern states.
yeah, especially it's your opinion too, and they're trying
Yeah.
to silence or quiet you. And that happens all the time, but you should at least be
Mm-hmm.
up to date about it. That's the whole point. Are you
Mm-hmm.
paying attention? So
Are you paying facts? Are you paying attention?
pay attention.
But yeah, you have
Mm.
anything else to?
Not have anything else to add, man. Everybody,
Mm.
we'll be here next Tuesday. No more Miss Tuesdays.
Oh, I would like to say, go my
uh
Celtics. I don't know if y'all can see my shirt away, but they don't play today. But
Heat in 7,
we're
man.
winning it. We're winning the championship. You heard it
Um,
here first. You heard it
who
here
who
first.
real quick? Who's my who do I want to win?
Celtics.
OKC because they're young and they got drip. So that's my pick though. But that's all I gotta say.
Anyway, we're done here, but we love y'all. We will see y'all next week. And
Sharp 6:30.
all right, peace.
Be there, man.